Welcome back to PedalBox, where last episode we were looking at the different engines we're going to put in our chassis, and we went through a whole bunch of them, discounted all of them when we decided that the front of the car wasn't the right place to put this engine, and we're going to put it in the back for no good reason whatsoever.
And there's a couple of good reasons. Unfortunately, we went and negated all of them, because rather than do something sensible, like grabbing a rear engine sports car, something like a Toyota LR2 or an MGF, that's designed to go that way around, we're instead going to make our lives even more difficult by building a bit of a bastard child. What we're thinking at this point is we're going to take the 20 valve turbo engine out of an Audi A3 or a VW Golf or something, and just drop the entire front engine front wheel drive powertrain in the back of the car.
We settled on the 20 valve turbo mostly because we had one here, we could measure it up, and then with the way everything fits so well, it just seemed pointless trying to run away and find another thing that was going to fit either worse or even better. There just wasn't any point. So we spent about a week or so looking through the different options, all the different engine codes to work out which one was going to be right for what we wanted. In the end, we discounted the TTs purely because they're too expensive to try and get hold of. Same goes for the S3, which leaves us with either the AGU or the AUM engine codes out of an A3 or a Golf.
Yes, there's three different main variants of the 20 valve turbo. There's 150, 180 and 220-ish horsepower ones. So the 150 has a pretty small turbo which kind of chokes it a bit at higher power. It can't really go much above 200 horsepower without having to just replace the turbo entirely. The 180 and the 220 horsepower versions both have better turbos. They're not much bigger, but they do flow a lot better, so they can go up to somewhere around, is it like 250 odd horsepower, somewhere on there?
Something like that, I can't remember exactly what it was, but there is a fantastic thread, which I'll link below, which is the definitive upgrade guide to your 20 valve turbo, of what to do and what order to do it in. So having consulted that reasonably well and gone through everything, we were settled on an AUM engine. And then we instantly disregarded that when we found a cheap A3 with an AGU engine less than a mile from the house with a busted turbo.
On talking to the seller some more, it turned out that what actually killed the turbo was that the oil pump had failed. It hadn't been driven far on the failed pump, it was only like a couple of miles out from his workshop that it went. So he's replaced the oil pump, but not the turbo. So when we picked the car up, drove it back, it was making no boost.
After we got the car back, the next step was to take all of the things in the way of the engine off, which was basically the entire front end behind the bumper.
As expected for a car of its vintage, all the bolts were in pretty good shape. Everything came out pretty easily, apart from one or two that were stuck in pretty bad. So usual rules apply, have a good set of extractors handy, and don't be afraid to break some stuff if you need to.
We tried to do the smart thing as we went along, and we labelled everything we could work out what it was as we went, because when we inevitably have to go through this loom later and work out what the hell is what, we're going to have forgotten where they came from.
We killed ourselves trying to figure out every single connector, every single plug, every single component. It was a chore, but it was vital.
So we're 3 episodes in and we can finally tick something off our list. We have found our 20 valve turbo. We haven't done a lot else to it besides rip the front of the car off, but next time we're going to get the rest of the engine out and start looking at how we're going to mount it into the rest of the chassis.
Yeah, once we've got the engine out, we can start designing all the mounts and everything and, figure that side of things out.
We also need to build some negative space jigs as well to work out where things are going to go relative to the old alignment.
But that is a far future problem.
Yeah.